Hello from the small window on your screen. This is Adam Turtletail from the Society of Corporate Compliance and Ethics. I'm joined in the large screen by Michael Josephson, who's founder of the Josephson Institute of Ethics, an organization whose mission is to improve the ethical quality of society by changing personal and organizational decision-making and behavior. Michael will be a keynote speaker both at the Higher Education Conference in June in Austin and at the Compliance and Ethics Institute in October. Michael, thank you for joining us and thank you for being part of both conferences.
It's great to be with you. You guys are doing important work that's close to my heart.
Oh, thank you. So let's talk about your heart. I mean, how did you get involved in the world of ethics?
Well, you know, the odd way, I started as a law professor. And when I was a law professor, I was assigned to teach the ethics course because it was shortly after Watergate. And there was a lot of concern that 21 lawyers had been accused of fraud or perjury or misleading statements. And so the American Bar Association kind of went crazy and said, what are we going to do? And somebody said, oh, I know, they didn't have a course. So the idea was if they didn't have a course in ethics, how would they know not to lie? So as a result, the Bar Association mandated a course in the early 70s that every law school had to give in legal ethics. It was called professional responsibility at the time. And from that, it evolved. Frankly, that year was important to me because it was the first year I became a parent. And when I became a father, I had this almost epiphany of having my child in my arms because he had colic, and I'm doing this, either hoping he or me go unconscious, it didn't matter which, but somebody had to sleep, and realizing would I teach my son ethics the same way I was approaching in the law school. And it was the first time I sort of confronted the fact that there were very different approaches to what we meant by ethics when I was thinking of it in my life and for my son and for my family than when I was thinking of it for the lawyers.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting, and I'm intrigued by the fact that since then it's evolved so that now you work with businesses, schools, law enforcement. I mean, when it comes to ethics, what are some of the common challenges that you see across all three?
Well, the common challenge is it's hard to be ethical. I mean, the fact is most people want to be good and want to be honest and want to be fair, except when it's not very good for them and not to their advantage. And so I start out with the premise that ethics is the willingness to do the right thing even when it costs more than you want to pay. Because whenever you get all the benefits to do it, if you're going to be a hero and everybody rewards you, even compliance officers, they know that very well. Sometimes they're total heroes for doing the right thing, and other times people say, are you serious? Do we really have to stop this? Or what's your objection to this? And there are times in which doing the right thing can be very, very costly. And so no matter what field we're dealing with, or whether it's dealing with kids or sports people or businesses, there are temptations to not be honest. There are temptations to not be fair or respectful or responsible. And so ethics is not only about trying to define right and wrong, but creating the kind of circumstance that makes it more likely or possible that somebody will do the right thing. And that's the big challenge for companies and organizations, is what's their culture? Is it easier or harder to do the right thing? And frankly, in most, it's a little harder.
Can you give us a preview of what you'll be talking about at the meetings?
Well, I want to first lay a foundation for the notion of ethics and that it's very pervasive and it's more pervasive than we think. And clearly it's way beyond the notion of compliance. I think in many ways that I don't want to diminish the compliance aspect. That's the vital first premise of most of these jobs, is at least be sure that nobody does any wrong. Sort of like the Hippocratic Oath, do no harm. But if you want to do that reliably, you can't just be doing it by establishing more rules or ways of trying to prevent people from not doing bad things. You have to, I think, try to encourage them to do good things for the right reasons. You have to convince them that the company really wants that. And frankly, we have to look at some of these well-worn constructs that we think are doing a job, like the typical ethics training in the typical company is absolutely ineffective. There's not a single study that would show that in any way that it has deterred conduct. Now, it may give information, and to the extent that somebody who's already well disposed to do the right thing didn't know about a rule about gifts or didn't know about some rule about conflicts of interest, they might not engage in the conduct. But if we're really dealing with the judgment level where someone is tempted to do a wrong thing because there's some advantage to do that or a disadvantage to do the right thing, we need something far more robust than the typical kind of 1-hour ethics course people get, let alone the online efforts, which is really more of cover your behind so you can have somebody sign something that they read and understood the rules.
Great. Well, it sounds very provocative, and we're looking forward to having you join us. Thank you for your time today, and we look forward to seeing you both in Austin and in Washington, D.C.
I look forward to it, too. Thank you.